Amazing presentation from last year's M3 conference right here at Lakewood Church in Houston, Texas. Here we are for the Global Health Conference 2020, also known as M3. I'm Chuck Pryor with the founder of M3, Dr. Paul Osteen. Paul, great presentation from last year.
I love Don Stevens.
Yeah.
And you know what I thought as he gave that last year, Chuck? I thought about that phrase from Eugene Peterson, a long obedience in the same direction.
Yeah.
You know, this is just a man with gray hair who's just followed Jesus all of his life, listened to his promptings, been obedient, and at the end of his life, he's had a very meaningful impact.
Yeah. That particular presentation and a lot of presentations that have already been given at this year's conference are available to you right there in our YouTube channel. By the way, since you're streaming and watching us live, say hello. We'd love to know where you're watching from. And don't forget to share the link. We still have a lot more to come today. So let your friends, family know how they can also watch this particular live stream from right here in Houston. Our next guest is an abdominal transplant surgeon. His name is Ryan Hall. He's the Associate Program Director of General Surgery Residency at UT Health. Ryan, you have an interesting story of how you ended up getting here. Tell us a little bit about that.
Thanks, Chuck. I grew up in a family that loved God, and I was blessed to have that. And some of my earliest memories were my mom praying for my dad. And so you look at the timing of God, and then I was old enough to see my dad really radically saved and transformed, and
Wow.
and see Jesus, touch his life. And not long after that, I gave my life to God, and my mom and dad told me, hey, you need to ask God what you're going to be when you grow up. And not long after that, I just had this kind of deep feeling like, hey, I'm supposed to be a doctor. And so I think God could have asked me to do anything at that point. I would have done it. But that's really what set me on this path. And I grew up in rural Oklahoma. Somebody went to med school maybe once every 10 years. And so there wasn't really a path to follow, but I just kind of smiled and walked forward, and God made the way. Made it to medical school, and didn't really know what kind of doctor I'd be. Knew I was interested in surgery, and I thought, hey, what's the biggest thing I can think of? And I wrote down liver transplant to see if they'd let me shadow the surgeons at Oklahoma City. And they let me go to the private hospital. They didn't even have it at OU then. And there was a man named Bakr Noor who was the surgeon there, and he was so kind to me and treated me better than I thought anybody would, and it made such an impact on me that I wound up following that all the way through and becoming a transplant surgeon. I never dreamed when I was 7 that there was anything even like this. Before I went to residency, I decided I wasn't going to do this because the lifestyle I thought would be too challenging for my family, and wanted to do global health. Wanted to do global surgery, wanted to do rural surgery. Now I've kind of made it to a point in my life where I'm going to get to see those things come together, and it's awesome. So
That's awesome. Yeah. And this is your first or second M3?
This is my second.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
And just some initial thoughts?
I'm interested in global surgery, and so there's definitely plenty of resources here to learn about that. But the thing that's been impactful to me, both last year and this year, is seeing. We just saw the video of Don Stevens. Is the way that global health has been pushed forward in all these different facets, whether it's caring for those that are hungry, or trafficking, all these different avenues that we're seeing a lot of advancement and changes. It's been really inspiring to me to see.
Isn't it interesting to see they're just regular people that have done extraordinary things with God's help.
Absolutely.
And they stayed at it for the long haul. I think about Alyssa Pfister last night. I mean, what she and that group are doing in Burundi right now, changing the landscape of that whole medical community and the educational system there. I don't know if you noticed last night, Chuck, but they've already graduated in 8 years, 300 physicians from that Kibuye Hope University. So exciting to see young people even on this journey. And no telling when Alyssa's an older lady with gray hair, no telling the impact that she's going to have had.
Absolutely. The second speaker last night also, Jock, as you said, stepping out when you don't have all the answers, and believing what God said, and just taking that first step and seeing what comes from that. I mean, it's God's heart to bring change and bring healing, right? And it starts there, and it's awesome. He empowers us to partner with him.
Yeah, I think anytime you step out in faith, you're not going to have all the answers. I mean, I know for me, when I left Little Rock, there were more questions for every one truth I had 99 questions. But still, it can't stop you from just trusting God that you're doing the right things. So.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's been interesting. My position now is associate program director, and then get to work with admissions at the med school. Maybe I shouldn't have been surprised, but the number of applicants, students, residents who have an interest or already great experience in global health and are coming with this heart that are wanting to help, to serve the underserved, both locally and abroad. And it's amazing to see organizations get behind M3 that are in academia. To have a poster session here this year is amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it? Which one won? Do you know?
I do.
Yeah. Can't say that yet?
I can't say that yet.
Okay.
We'll announce that later. But all the posters were great. I mean, got to hear everybody present last night, and students and those with seniority also. It's really, really remarkable.
Yeah. What's amazing to me is to watch young surgeons like Ryan and his wife. Number one, they have a great marriage. Number two, they have a great family. Number three, they're passionate about Jesus. And number four, they're excellent in what they do at the Med Center and with his skills as a surgeon. So just admire that. And, he could be making a ton of money doing a lot of different things, but you know what? He's given his life away to help people that are desperately in need, and then still has that heart to teach residents and students, and also the heart to serve abroad. And so I commend you and I applaud you, and I can't wait for one day when we're going to be operating together and he's going to be showing me some of his tricks in liver surgery.
Why global health, Ryan? I'm curious. Like, what's the driving passion? Like, where does that come from, do you think?
I don't know. I grew up outside of town of about 800 people in Oklahoma, and actually saw the health disparities from a young age. I mean, my appendix turned out, had ruptured for months before they found it, because of even disparities in rural Oklahoma. And, so that really struck a chord with me when I, saw how much of an impact, one person could have. And so that, really was a big driver for me in medicine. Like I said, I didn't have an interest in being a doctor aside from, hey, I felt like this is what I was called to do. And so, along with that is, the compassion to help as many people as you can. Look forward and, supporting in any way all the endeavors that, brought together here to make that happen.
You know what I appreciate about Ryan, too? I don't know if you saw him last night, but he's going to help me MC M3. And I think it's just... he's been very good at it, and I'm so thankful. It takes a big load off of me if I had somebody that I can trust to be up there doing some of the things that I would have to do if I didn't have help. So thank you, Ryan, for doing that.
Pleasure.
I certainly appreciate that.
And doesn't it encourage you, Dr. Paul, when you see young doctors like Ryan who are coming up and you go, the future's pretty good?
Future's bright. I'm telling you. There's, like he said, there's a whole generation that's not content to just repeat their parents' errors, not errors, but parents' desires just to make money. There's a bunch of kids that want to make a difference. And to me, if we can unleash that force, the world's in a good space.
Right.